Hey y'all, it's Shawn from Care Dynamics, aka S.Thomp, and today we're going to talk about a concept called Follow the Sun, FTS, and how it can enhance your staffing and recruitment operations. So, Follow the Sun, I was recently talking with a colleague and he asked me what our business hours for Care Dynamics. And I was like, honey, we follow the sun. And he was like, well, why do you need to be open 24/7? As you may or may not know, I have employees in the Philippines, which are 12 hours ahead of our business. And what Follow the Sun methodology encourages is the ability for resolution with issues, continuity of business. It allows you to prolong your business's operational hours without necessarily making somebody work more than 8 hours in a day, 12, 16, 18-hour days. It kind of does away with that. And it allows you to have a method of keeping the business continuum constantly flowing, handing off assignments, collaboration, and just overall keeping of the operations, irrespective of what coast a client or a candidate sits on. So, the reasons why following the Follow the Sun model can apply to the staffing and recruitment agencies is because, in my experience, I was working contracts and consulting for one of the largest health insurance companies in the world, largest health and pharmacy companies in the world. And that is where I was introduced to this concept of Follow the Sun. They had a whole offshore team in the Philippines so that when our team, who sat in the Eastern time zone, the Central time zone, even out on the West Coast, when we were getting off of work and going on home or logging out of work since we work from home, there was a Filipino team who was able to keep the flow going. Now, if you go and you look simply on LinkedIn and you Google the Follow the Sun model, you'll be able to see that Follow the Sun is actually a niche. Who knew? Some of you may have known, but I think for the vast majority, this concept is going to be new. But if you go into Indeed, as an example, and type in Follow the Sun, leave the location open ended, and just take a look at the jobs. It's not a whole lot of them, but if you pay attention to what types of jobs this encompasses, you will see customer support. You will see a lot of IT positions. But as I realized, you also see this concept in the health insurance marketplace because we are working continuously with clients who we're having to onboard and change things about clinical benefits. Therefore, there's a necessity to be responsive to our clients at all times. So, how does this tie into staffing and recruitment? Well, I sit on the East Coast. I work between the hours of maybe 9 to 6. Maybe sometimes I get to my desk at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And honestly, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave and be done with it by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just me. So, what we do currently on my team is not really a 24/7 model, it's more of a 15, 16-hour model of coverage. But oftentimes I stagger my delivery consultants, and one starts at 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. That's 5 p.m. her time, and then works until 1 p.m. my time, 1 a.m. her time. I have another delivery consultant. She likes to work the opposite. So she comes in at noon Eastern time. So there's this overlap between noon Eastern time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. So around about 12:15 p.m. Eastern time, we're able, if needed, to have a huddle. We get together, collaborate, communicate, and hand off anything that needs to be handed off. And we continue on the continuum from that 12 p.m. when rain comes in to 8 p.m. when she gets off. This is something that I talked to them as I was onboarding them to find out what their shift preferences would be. It's three of us working the recruitment cycle at any given time. It really does not make sense for all three of us to work between the hours of 9 to 6, 8 to 5. It just not for me. If it works for you, fine. But I like having somebody working really early and somebody working later, in the event that, from the candidate perspective, a candidate might have, if we're staffing for nurses, they work 12-hour shifts. So just in case somebody's getting off work at 6 o'clock in the morning and they're able to do a screening earlier in the morning, before 8 o'clock, before 9 o'clock, we're able to accommodate. We're able to communicate with that person. Same way, if a person does day shift on into the evening and they're not able to talk to us until after 6 p.m. Eastern time, 7, 8 p.m., we're able to accommodate. Not only are we able to accommodate, I'm able to offer that from my business perspective without me being available from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that is where the whole follow the sun methodology comes from. Now, some things that you want to keep in mind when it comes to following the sun, if that's something that you choose to implement in your business, you need to make sure that you follow the 4 C's: coordination, collaboration, culture, and communication. You need to know that you're able to coordinate and hand tasks and assignments and different things off to the next person as they're coming in and you're leaving. You need to make sure that you're able to collaborate during any of that time. You need to necessarily be able to ask the previous person that worked before you, hey, I'm working on this. What went on with this? Culture wise, it might lead to more positive work environments because people are not stressed out in the company culture by having to work overtime and long hours. If that's something that's normal in your company culture, then fine. But for the most part, people barely want to work 8 hours, much less 12, 15, 16 hours. And you need to follow the C of communication. The only way for this follow the sun model to work in any business is that those that are a part of that model are able to proactively communicate, so that not only do issues and responsiveness occur, issue resolution and responsiveness occurs, but it occurs in a timely, non-confused manner because everybody is aware of the issue. And what it's supposed to do is increase what we call, in my world, TAT, turnaround time. So if there is something that takes 72 hours based off of an 8-hour workday, theoretically, so they'll say, okay, we'll get a response or we'll get a resolution on this within 72 hours, 72 business hours. You can decrease that 72 hours significantly, possibly by half, if you implement a follow the sun model. Now, this is the thing about me. I study institutions, not individuals. So, like I said, I learned this model from a very large health company that I still contract with, I still have as a client. And if they're doing it, just because they're a huge company, that doesn't mean that smaller companies like us, you and I, owning our staffing and recruitment business, could not glean something from that. So I'm not the expert on follow the sun models, nor am I the congener of it. I didn't come up with it. I learned it, and now I'm sharing it with you. And if it's something that interests you, by all means, it's your opportunity to now go and learn more about it and how you can implement it in your business. That's all on that. Hope it was helpful. Drop down in the comments and let me know. Like, share, and subscribe.